Joe.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 11 of Backyard Quarterbacks with myself. I'm Adam. We have Tyler and Hartle joining us as well. Maybe the first episode that me and Hartle are going no hat.
Yeah.
So you can see as we go further and further into these, we just give less and less of a shit. Yep.
Looks like Ryan didn't do his hair for today either.
Yeah. I showered and everything this morning, so I figured.
I shaved the dome.
So we only got two games to talk about specifically this week. We're going to talk about some other stuff with college football here at the end with the playoff, and there were some pretty big games over the weekend and some coaching moves. Let's hop into the first one though, guys. So we had Atlanta Falcons visiting Jacksonville.
Let's get it out the way.
Get it done with. Final score 21-14. Jaguars fall to 2-9. I don't think anyone's surprised that we lost. Trevor Lawrence, 23 for 42, 228 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 1 sack. As Hartle mentioned before we started recording, Trevor Lawrence did have 5 rushes for 39 yards. Pretty uneventful game. I mean, it's become par for the course. Nothing spectacular. Trevor didn't implode. I don't think he's the reason why we lost, but he just isn't there yet. And it's not surprising being a rookie, but also not having weapons. And I think Hartle's mentioned this several times. We just need to go all in on alignment. The kid's running for his life, no protection, not to mention, the receiving cores at a disadvantage with some injuries and running back, getting hurt. But James Robinson did rush for 86 yards. No touchdowns, but pretty brutal game to watch, but we're used to that, especially now. And I think, week 11. So any other thoughts, guys, on that?
Yeah, we're solidified the second pick right now. It would be between us and Houston. Houston would have that tiebreaker since they beat us week 1. So if it ended today, Evan Neal, left tackle from Alabama, would be coming to help out that offensive line. Yeah, I mean, I was telling y'all I didn't have the game here in Tallahassee. They rather watch, real football, I guess, here in Tallahassee. Well, NFL football wise. But yeah, I mean, 21-14. I mean, if you just look at it, it's not like we're just out there just getting slaughtered but it is very tough to watch. Like, I wasn't dying to try to watch this game and find it in all the outlets. I gotta watch it. I need to watch it. Like, I don't know. Dan Aykroyd got hurt. I think he's out now. Andrew's out IR, and whatever our boy is, DJ Shark's been out. It's rough. The roster's poor. I think positive things that you can talk about, and it's actually funny because I thought it was one of our weaker parts, but our run defense is pretty good. I mean, Patterson did get 106 yards, I see, but they've actually been doing really well, and it kind of reminds me of 2017. Was that when we were good, or was that the year before we went to the AFC Championship game?
Right.
You had a bunch of people that were young, play together for a long time, and then you just added these pieces. You added a Calais Campbell, you added a Marcellus Darius. Obviously we drafted Ramsey. We traded for, or something. No, we signed AJ Bouye. So I mean, it was just you added these pieces, and then all of a sudden it was just this legit number 1 defense. Jacksonville came out, and I think that's what they kind of, I mean, as a fan, as hope, we're laying down that that young team, have them come together and add a few pieces. They start believing. we'll
So you
see.
said we solidified the number 2 pick. So when you said that we're getting the tackle from
If it
Bama,
was the end today, I mean,
that's the number
still-
2 pick. If it would be the tackle from Alabama.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. I was just saying because that Jordan Davis from Georgia, number 99, and that dude probably needs to go number 1.
So right now the hands down is the Oregon defensive end.
Oh, really? I haven't watched any of Oregon.
I mean,
so.
the mock drafts that I've seen
Yeah.
I mean, Detroit has the first pick. They're 0-10-1 tie.
Okay.
But
That was Gardner Minshew.
Trade
yeah.
back for him. Yeah,
Do
I
what?
just think that guy's so dominant, and so I mean, I don't know. I know we need guys around Trevor Lawrence so that we can, have an offense and actually score. But I don't know. He seems like a once in a generation type player. So, but yeah, I mean, the Jags have been very hard to watch. All 3 of our teams have been very hard to watch this season. But the Jags especially, but not just, I mean, 21-14 was final score, but I mean, it was 21-14 and we had the ball with a chance to go down and tie it. So, we're in position, but it was a second week where we had an opportunity to where we control it. We control how this game ends. If we just go down and can punch it in, and we couldn't do it. Once again, I think we went 3 and out, or 4 and out, because we actually went for it on 4th down. I don't think we didn't complete a pass. So, I mean, it's just, I guess, Trevor's not losing it for us, and that's good. But he hasn't shown us he can win it for us yet either. So,
Right.
I guess that's just kind of where the wait and see is. But, like you said, I mean, a lot of injuries on wide receivers. The guys didn't help him. There's one guy dropped it right in his hands on that last drive too. So
yeah, and I'm still kind of frustrated. Like, all right, if we're losing this many games anyways, we're not going to the playoffs. No one's has these high expectations that we're going to win every game we go into. I just don't know why we're not calling play calls down the field more and more. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like all the short passes, and even on the games where Trevor's done really well with a high completion percentage and a lot of receptions or completions, 200 yards, 210 yards, you know what I mean? I don't think he's had that huge 350 yard or 400 yard game yet. So, and that was one of the things coming in. He was unanimous number 1 overall pick. This was the pick where you could not screw it up. You couldn't fuck this up. Pardon our language. I know we're a family show, but so let him throw it downfield, man. I know that Shark's out and we have some people out, but you can't tell me there's not another person on the field that can run just a post route and toss it up if we see single coverage or something.
No chance of ever getting open downfield.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
it's frustrating. It's brutal. And
any
Urban
other
Meyer's
thoughts
going to
about
go to
that
Notre
game?
Dame now, so we'll be getting a new coach.
Yeah.
I did read today. He said he has no interest and he's committed to sticking with the Jaguars.
That's positive. That's positive.
Yeah, he's never reneged on something like that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, we've heard that in the past, but I don't know. So we'll see. That
just means he has to retire first.
Yeah,
and then he can go get the dream job.
Yeah. The next game for the Jaguars, the Rams, we go out to LA. They are favored by 13. I know they started off really hot. I think they've lost 2 or 3 in a row. Didn't they start off 7-1? They're 7-4 now, but Tyler and Hartley, I've mentioned we travel awful to the West Coast unless we just keep going right past the West Coast to England.
I don't think that's the way we go. I think we go that way.
Well, the earth is flat, Tyler. You didn't know that?
Oh, my bad.
Flat earther like Kyrie. But yeah, I think that's going to be an awful game. Ramsey, obviously, we'll get to see him. So
I'm sure he'll showboat us. It reminds me when Dion went back to Atlanta. I mean, obviously we were going to LA, but he got in a fight with Andre Rison, and luckily he didn't get thrown out the game, but then ended up getting a pick 6. And while he was doing the the high step in. He didn't like stop and looked and continued to high step and just looked at Atlanta's bench the whole time as he ran in for a touchdown. I can see something. I might be booking it actually. Ramsey's gonna do something to kind of, kind of put a little elbow in our rib cage or something and just kind of sting a little bit. Because when you put the trade, draft picks are so they're valued so high, but then when you put the actual players that we drafted, ETN, who hasn't even got to run it down yet in the NFL, and then the other one last year, Chasen, which is for some reason still developing. Now it's like, damn, I think I'd rather have Ramsey than those freaking guys. You know what I mean? But it is what it is.
Well, for the longest time, the Jags would have the draft, high drafted players that they just wouldn't do anything, and then they'd stick around
like
forever. Right.
Yeah. Any Gator in the first round.
Yeah.
Other than Fred Taylor. Yeah.
And then, but now we've got these draft picks that were high draft picks that we, pushed away, and now they're still producing, or they're producing, better than when they were here. Like what I think, Leonard Fournette had 4 touchdowns or something. Was it this past week?
Yeah, but with Fournette, he's not really like. I feel like he's benefiting from the team more than he's actually. I mean, he's had.
Well, they got a good passing game for him to.
Yeah, and he has like been beast mode certain games, but he's not the reason why they're a high-powered offense or anything like that. I think Ramsey stings as in like. You're not going to even draft or even sign a player bigger than him. Like, I mean, he's definitely top 10 player in the NFL. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I think that's where it kind of stings a little bit more. But I guess I'm done with the Jags, as in for this week, this segment. If people want to go ahead and fast forward to the Florida State game, we'll put a link so you can skip the Jaguar talk.
Yeah, we'll let you know where to fast forward to. So going to be probably a shorter podcast this week with only 2 games, but so the big game for all of us every year, even though on a year like this when we both suck, Florida State. That game was down in Gainesville and ended 21-24. Florida won. Was really competitive football wise, but I think it's just because you had 2 really crappy, shitty teams
playing terribly.
So at the end of the first, it's 7-0 Gators. At the end of the second, it's 7-7. At the end of the third, it's you guys score 10 in the third, so it's 17-7. Then we score 14 in the fourth, but y'all also score 7. So it was a lot of back and forth. I know me and Hartle and probably Tyler, just because we mentioned it in the group, there was one play that kind of sealed our fate. It wouldn't have won us the game, but it would have at least, in hindsight, we would have went to overtime, which after the way our seasons are both going, I don't think I wanted to watch any more of that game, but
that would have been the worst.
It'd be nice to win regardless of the records and regardless of playoff hopes, but you guys got it. It was closer than I thought it was going to be, actually. I didn't think that we would be able to keep it within 3. I know we talked about it the week before. That line closed at 3.5. And I mentioned it in the group. It's crazy how these Vegas odd setters, how close they can get. And not only on the big games, right? Like the number 1 versus number 2, but with 2 shitty teams that are both like with 5-win teams at the time. It's crazy how close they can get and foresee this stuff. So
what you said, 3.5, was that Emory Jones interceptions or the points for the game?
It was both. Yeah, that's another reason why it was, Emory. Haven't seen him have a game like that in a few weeks at least.
Yeah, no, he's actually he didn't really have a productive week against Missouri, but he had he was
great game against South Carolina. Oh, never mind.
South Carolina was the defense really failing us there. I mean, I think his South Carolina, I can't actually remember. I want to forget the season.
41-20 type. I can't remember yet. It was like 41-20 type score or something.
Right. Yeah, but we just couldn't stop their run game. So they just kept the ball and took it right down the field, and we just couldn't do nothing about it. But to go back to the Florida State game, yeah, I mean, it was ugly. A lot of interceptions, a lot of penalties on both sides. Just guys that seemingly didn't want to make plays or something. And then we've got our Damian Pierce, who all season long, when he gets in there, he runs hard, runs violent. But he came in, he had that great series. He caps it off with a touchdown. He even had that touchdown call back because his helmet got ripped off, which is the dumbest rule.
I liked it at the time.
It sounded like a dumb rule when I first heard them implement it. But to see it actually play out where guys running and they can't, tackle him, but they can rip his helmet off, and then he's supposed to just stop.
Yeah.
He's that close.
That's what you're supposed to do. You need to do what the rules say.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that was definitely one of the highlights of the game. I mean, I didn't know much about him going in, but what a freaking beast, man. I don't agree with the rule when it hurts my team, but like Ardo said, I agreed with it there.
Right.
I mean, obviously you got to protect the kids, but I mean, it could be bad. Like if but it seemed like
for sure.
the way the rule and the way they explained it, it seemed like they put the responsibility to end the play on the guy whose helmet came off. And I don't think I wasn't clear on it, but you would think, all right, if you're a defensive person and you still have your helmet, you should be like, okay, I can't hit this person without it. They don't have a helmet. Yeah. But I thought it was a weird rule. I know it's been around for a little while, but didn't hurt you guys in the end.
I remember
luckily they didn't take it away from him. He eventually got his touchdown. But then we went away from him, and we had Malik Davis in there running, and he didn't. He was getting stopped, and so was.
So was that in the first half? I'm trying to think. Was that with Emory Jones or was that with AR-15? Because I think that might change up the offense a little bit to where it's not the same.
So,
it's kind of like when you put in Jordan Travis versus Milton or Tate Rodemaker or whatever. Like it's completely different offense.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible that he doesn't. If Emory Jones is putting him in position, like maybe Pierce needs a little bit more guidance from the quarterback. And Anthony Richardson's not that guy. I can't remember. I want to say Richardson was in when he did that, but to be honest, no, I'm not really certain on that one.
I kind of want to think it was the second half.
Yeah, because Emory Jones came in for like one drive. I don't even think he finished it in the second half, and then Richardson took over for the rest. So, but yeah, I just confusing play calling at a time like that, or why are we switching off instead of going with a guy who's got the hot hand? And that was at a time where we really needed to be able to run the ball, not pass. We wanted to run the ball to run the clock out. We were up 24-7 at one point. And that doesn't put the game away in 12 minutes in the fourth quarter, I believe is what it was. So for y'all to come back and be within 3, I was just like, I mean, are you freaking kidding me? And unfortunately, it wouldn't have been our worst, the worst ever flop. What was it? What's it called? The 31
choke it.
The 31-3. Yeah, choke and dope.
I was there. Whoop whoop.
Oh, you were there.
6th grader.
Yeah.
Oh, it was at 94. Yep, that was 6th grade.
And then, just for the game to get cacked off, as bad as that whole game was with both teams, and to end on an attempt for an onside kick, and it just barely falls off of the tee.
The guy whiffed it.
Yeah.
That summed up how that whole game went. And I was like, I said, this is exactly how this game should end.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Unfortunately for you guys, that was your team that did it, but I mean,
the intensity from the beginning of the game, I was pretty pissed seeing that the Gators was trying to start shit when we were leaving the field. That the team actually went from all the way from their side of the field to our side of the field. It was almost like the administration came together and was like, "Hey, we need to we both kind of suck. Let's make this game look better for the recruits so they want to play here." You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It was weird. But then when the game started, it was like Florida was coming in with reckless, like just wanting to knock our heads off. And I didn't
Yeah.
think we compared to that. And playing at home and a loud crowd and everything, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But they came ready, which, like you said, you jump out to a 24-3. It should have been a lot worse. I mean, obviously Emory Jones had those 3 interceptions all in the first half. This game could have got ugly
at key times too.
quickly. It could have got really. We did lose Jordan Travis, which is our only offense of threat. You cannot put Mackenzie Milton. You cannot put Tate Rodemaker. You can't even put in damn Chuba Purdy because he transferred. But if you don't have, our offensive line can't block. Like, that's why Jordan Travis, this is why we've even won 5 games this year.
Yeah.
You know,
well, when Jordan Travis came out, and
Mackenzie
Milton came in, he's running for his life.
Yeah.
And I guess Jordan Travis probably was too a little bit, but it's not as obvious when he can get away,
extend the play. He can actually, continue
he can be
to
dangerous
throw or run.
Yeah,
he's so. I mean, him not being in there. I mean, hell, even if he was there, it might have been 3 and outs for that whole quarter, whatever. But he has that capability to boom touchdown. So that I think that hurt.
He showed it in that game. Like, we can get him. We can get him most of the drive. Most of the drive, he can be running for his life.
Yeah,
and having to throw it away or getting sacked or stop behind the line, whatever.
Right.
But then he has that big play that just negates it. It negates all the hard work and all that pressure that we've been putting on him. And then he extends that drive, and then that one couple drives that went down for a touchdown. So I mean, he was the reason that I honestly did not think that we were going to win that game leading up to the game. The way we've been playing, the way that we struggled against mobile quarterbacks, or even not necessarily like what you consider a mobile quarterback, but a quarterback that just can run a little bit. It's just been a struggle for us. So I mean, he was a big reason why I thought, like, I don't see us winning, because he's going to be able to extend the drives and we're not gonna be able to stop him. And how many we threw 3 picks. I'm surprised that we scored 24 points. But we did throw, picks and interceptions at like what I was expecting to do. And luckily Anthony Richardson didn't throw any, because goodness, I mean, 4 or 5, that would have been pretty rough.
Yeah, I was thinking it was just one point of the game. Obviously, it was probably around that 24-3. And something happened. I don't know, maybe threw a pick, or we punted a ball, and I'm just like, honestly, we have a better chance scoring on defense than we do on offense right now. So
didn't y'all have a game? I think we had some games against you guys where you didn't even get like 100 yards of offense or something like that, but you beat us probably 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, there's those games out there. Yeah, I can't recall. I can't recall the year or anything like that. But I did want to bring up at some point. Maybe I'll just go ahead and do it now. But the game we all watched together, I believe it was 2003 at Adam's house.
Yeah,
Florida State, Florida. And so Chris Ricks hits the Hail Mary with like 40 seconds left. The PK Sam, the police dog tried to bite him because he was even pissed. But I remember our reaction. Me and Adam ran out the house. I remember just running out the front door like freaking out, going crazy. But that was a game where I could definitely realize this was before you could do Insta replay, and I got a whole damn segment on that too. But y'all had the short end of the stick of the calls. So there were fumbles that shouldn't have been called fumbles. They were already down, but we benefited off. We benefited off.
It was like
so
every
much.
time we had a big play. Every time we had a big play, it was like you could guarantee there was gonna be a flag.
And I'm sitting there just like, Tyler, man, I'm honest, like y'all are getting screwed.
Yeah, I remember that, because that was the only year you ever would say something like that. Yeah, I know you were very upset about the refs calls and stuff like that in the game Saturday. But I mean, for me, I was just like, look, man, I think we ended up with more penalty yards.
Well, that's just
and-
being offsides.
right. So we had, a bunch of penalty yards, and then we also had, y'all had what, the actual catch, whereas we had the interception, but it was still kind of the same thing where you couldn't really see it. The ball definitely touched the ground, but did it get it dislodged? Did it move?
Yeah.
You couldn't really tell. So for me, when both teams played as bad as they did, honestly, that game that you're talking about, I feel like both teams played well and had big moments, and that was a really exciting game to watch. It just seemed like there was just a little too many calls going against Florida, and you're not seeing it from the other side. But no, I felt like it was pretty even.
Yeah, Florida has the ultimate one. Florida State should have been their first win ever. This guy like caught it in the end zone. It's like 64, 67, who the hell knows? But the front page of the paper, he's there with the ball in the end zone with like a foot and a half from the out of bounds. And the referee called him out of bounds. And it was just like completely purposely,
like a legit, like
so that was the payback in 03. But no, go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things that I did want to bring up. So Jordan Travis was basically our whole offense. He accounted for 304 yards by himself, 202 passing, 102 rushing. And then so as much as he's our savior, and we wouldn't have been in
how many
game,
touchdowns?
1 passing, 1 rushing.
So 2 of the 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he probably would have
pull up to see how long he was out too.
Y'all he probably would have had another one if he was able to throw it to himself. But
like Jameis Winston.
Yeah, but that one play before the half, if you guys remember,
I do.
It's a scramble. We're like already in field goal range, basically. All he has to do is stay somewhat in between the hash marks in the middle of the field, go down. We had a timeout, so it wouldn't have mattered if he went down with 1 second left and he had the bonehead like mentality to just let the clock expire. That ended up biting us in the ass. Again, like I said, who knows if we would have won or, if anything else could have happened, but that was just kind of a bonehead play. But it's almost like he did everything else. You can't really place blame on him.
Yeah, he's the only reason you guys had a chance, at least offensively.
For sure.
Obviously, your defense had 3 interceptions, so that plays a big part of it. But
and our special teams, I think we had like a 6-yard punt, 14-yard punt. We had a 36-yard punt with a 15-yard gang and a 15-yard targeting penalty, so a net of 6 yards. And then a whiff on onside kick. That really was huge.
Yeah.
Did y'all see how? Obviously, you saw the replay. Did y'all see how he was trying to do that? Like, it looked like he was trying to kick the top of it, but then in another one, it looked like he was trying
to do a trick one and kick it with his left foot,
his back foot. Yeah.
But I think he just he whiffed so hard that other leg just whipped over there. Almost had a second chance of hitting it.
Yeah, because I'm assuming the strategy is you want to hit it on the top so you can get that big bounce for your guy.
Yeah, it's like a crazy bounce going.
I'm thinking as the worst onside kicks is typically like you kick it and it goes 3 yards. 5 yards, or you kick it so damn hard it doesn't even hit the damn ground, it just goes out of bounds. You're like, well, you didn't give anybody a chance, you idiot. This has to be the worst possible way of.
Is it worse than getting caught on camera blocking your own teammate?
That was y'all, right?
Yeah, that was us.
Yeah. I was like, damn. I think the knock on us, our offensive line just stood still like it was a glitch in a video game. Our quarterback ran for his life, like Christian Ponder. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, that was something they used to do every offside.
Let's get our quarterback killed. This is a great idea.
Like it's not an issue. It's not an issue anywhere in college football that these guys jump off sides and don't get called. It's like very rarely missed. But it's like, no, let's just go a little extra on that one and just not move so everybody knows. Yeah, that's
So Jordan
I didn't know-
Travis,
you're funny.
he threw a pass first quarter with 6:22 left. They ended up rushing the ball, and then Mackenzie Milton ended up coming in. So his last play, I believe, is at 6:22
In the first.
in the first, and then McKenzie had 2 drives, and then they put Tate Rodemaker in.
He couldn't have been
And
in
then
for much
Jordan
more than a
Travis
play.
came back at 8:58 in the second. So that was basically a full
He basically
quarter.
missed a quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we've been talking about all year with Florida State. I mean, honestly, being 0-4, we definitely could have had one of those 2-win seasons, 3-win seasons. But they ended up making this run. They ended up believing. They ended up fighting. I mean, if you look at every single one of our losses, there's things you can circle and be like, this was a winnable game. And going back to the Wake Forest game, we lost by 21. There were 6 turnovers, and we ran into the punter, which they ended up scoring on. So that's like 7 damn turnovers.
And Wake Forest ended up winning
They're playing
division
for Pittsburgh for the ACC championship. Another year.
I tell you what, man,
Miami cannot get into the ACC championship. Very glorious.
when y'all added those Big East teams to the ACC and then had the 2 separate, because was that when y'all first started having conference championships?
Yeah.
When you had the Big East.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, never would have thought that you'd end up with Wake Forest and Pitt as one of the.
Right.
Although Wake Forest has been a few times, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. They had some a few good years.
Because
I feel like in the past I've said the same. Man, you never would have thought you'd see it was like Wake Forest and whoever, but
I think I'm glad we kind of did it on a Tuesday night, because I've probably been very sourpuss.
You wanted to do it.
I was very upset.
The night of the Florida State game.
But here we are on a Tuesday, and I feel like it's already forgotten. I don't even think anybody's even thinking about that game. No one even cares. And I think
for sure.
that puts us to where the goal was the whole damn time. Let's get through this season. Let's keep this recruiting class. Had someone tell me, they're like, well, the best thing about that loss is now our coaches can concentrate on recruiting. I was like, yeah, that's great. That's great. And I started thinking, I was like, ain't this the dead zone period? You can't talk. I don't think you can even talk to him right now.
It's I think you can, because that was one of the issues with so big news for Florida. Florida got a head coach, Billy Napier. So we'll get into that in a little bit.
But, he played basketball at Florida.
Right.
Teddy Dupay.
Yeah, that's who it is. But so the fact that he's not, because they have their conference championship, and so he's not even gonna be able to be there till the 5th of December. So he's got this is a crucial time that he could be, getting out there and recruiting, and he's gonna have to miss. But I mean, understandably, he's worked hard to build up that program. He's done a great job, and I feel that those kids are owed him to stay there and let him finish out.
You think he's going to turn a few recruits to Louisiana Lafayette to Florida?
You want those guys.
Yeah, I hope that's not where we're going. But
hopefully he says, look, I'm going to do the honorable thing and not ask any of you guys to come to Florida. They do things a little different in Gainesville, boys. You don't want to be a part of this, I promise.
Called a hog town, actually.
Yep, hog town. So so Coach, Florida got a new head coach. To be honest, I'm not a guy who's paying attention to all the different head coaches and the potential upcoming head coaches all over the country. So until
he was a Saban tree, you're gonna have that thing we talked about, which Jimbo broke 24-1 against ex-assistant coaches or whatever their head coaches.
So the door's been opened.
So
now he can come in and finally we'll beat Bama. But no, he's had some good stops. So just a quick rundown for anybody that doesn't really know much about where he's gone. So he actually, his first big job was
Clemson.
actually offensive coordinator for Clemson. He had 1 year where they, like his first year, they just had a great offense, and then I think they won their division of the ACC. I don't know if they
Great
actually won the
offense. I'm thinking
ACC.
like, all right, they had 4 years or 3 years with Trevor Lawrence, and they had 3 years with Deshaun Watson, and they had 3 years with Tyler Boyd. I mean,
Yeah, I think
who
he was
ain't
right
really
before
gonna do
Tyler
that
Boyd.
good with, he probably had Deshaun Watson, I'm thinking. So I'm sure he gets all the credit for that.
No, I think it was before. It was before Clemson.
I think it was 2010 or something. I remember
I think it was
looking
right
him up.
before Tyler. Is it Tyler Boyd?
Yeah.
So I think it was right before him, but he was responsible for getting
Nope.
him to the program, but he didn't coach. Yeah. So, anyway, his first year, they had a really good offense. And then the next year, they did not do so well. And I don't know if they had a losing season, but their offense was really struggling. So he actually got fired as the offensive coordinator. And then from there, I don't know if he immediately went and joined as like an analyst or something like that for Alabama. But he ended up on Alabama staff for a few years. And then he went out to Colorado State with McElwain. So there's his Florida tie. So he was actually coaching with McElwain for a while at Colorado State. And then when McElwain came to Florida, I think he went back to Alabama. And so then from Alabama, I think he got the job as the Louisiana coach. And
Taj
he
Boyd
built
was
that
on
program.
the team. I guess I need to find like stats. Passing. Yeah, Taj Boyd was the starter. Their receivers were okay. DeAndre Hopkins and Sammy Watkins. I never really heard of those guys before.
Just a few scrubs.
Andre Ellington was the running back. I mean, he was in the pros for a while. Vic Beasley. I mean, they actually had a pretty stacked team.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I think this is like, okay, this is Dabo's third full season, 4th overall. So I guess he came in head coach of waiting after Tommy Bowden got fired. I remember CJ Spiller was crying like, that's my coach. My coach, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, I did the Terrell Owens thing, but CJ was crying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, interesting. Yeah. I like looking back at those things. I like looking back. It was a year. I have the ESPN Encyclopedia of College Football, and it shows every single game, score, year. They have the years broken down to the top AP, top 25 each week. So you can just kind of see. And I remember going back to the game that we lost to Virginia in like 1995. And not only was it Tiki Barber and Rondé Barber, but the coaches, the grad assistants, like they were head coaches at other places. And I can't remember a name right now, but it was just like, it's amazing when you go back and see that,
Which at the time you're probably like, we lost to freaking Virginia.
Yeah. Right.
Like then looking back and understanding the talent that was on the team.
Right.
You're just like, well, yeah, of course we.
Yeah.
But yeah. So obviously I'm excited as I can be. I mean, coaches come in, they say the right things, they will say what you want to hear, and then you focus on the positives that they can bring. Sounds like a guy's gonna be really focused on recruiting, a guy who understands that you can't just be totally loyal to everybody. Like you got to hold people accountable, and you got to let somebody go. You got to pull the starter. I know that's what a lot of people are hopeful for, is that it's not going to be a situation where like, well, this guy's a starter, he's earned the job, even if you got a guy behind him who's more talented, and you got to get him in there and you got to get him playing. So we'll see how all that goes, but nothing but positive stuff that I'm hearing from pretty much everybody about the hire. One thing that I was concerned with when we had several discussions about like if it's Dan Mullen's going to get fired. This was before it obviously was announced. And for me, I knew that the defense coordinator, he had to go. The offensive line coach, he had to go. I was hopeful that we would be able to just kind of keep Dan Mullen and just get the right people in for those two positions that were recruiters, but also guys that could really coach.
But he was the tight end coach for Florida State in our national championship year.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I thought I remembered some tie-in to Florida State, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Well, it looks like he had a couple jobs there. It
You
said
pull your microphone down?
2013 Florida State tight end. 2013 Florida State tight end coach, but then it says 2013 to 2016 Alabama wide receiver coach. So
Okay.
it's like, do you start out with Florida State? Because one of y'all's coaches, I thought that he was the tight end coach, but he was our like recruiting coordinator too, or not coordinator, but he was Tim Brewster.
That sounds familiar. He with what's his name? The guy that came from Oregon. Coach came from Oregon, and now he's
Willie
down
Taggart.
at Willie Taggart. I believe he came over with Willie Taggart. Brewster sounds right. But
And then he went to Arizona State, which our offensive coordinator Dillingham has experience there, and Mike Norvell. So he was on our list when we were looking to hire. He was down there at the bottom, kind of honorable mention names.
yeah,
At that time, he was like 38 years old or 39 because he's 42 now. He's been at Louisiana since 2018. So he was on the short list, but Norvell was down there too. I mean, I think Norvell was part of the last name before honorable mention because we had all those, the Minnesota coach, PJ Fleck, we had Penn State's coach, we had Bob Stoops, we had, all these names, and then boom. I just wonder where Billy Napier falls along. I mean, everybody's going to say like, oh yeah, we contacted him at South Carolina, or we contacted him really, this is the guy we want. But I just wonder, like, message boards and stuff, I'm sure they didn't have Billy Napier number one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They probably had, Urban Meyer's not doing good at Jaguars, maybe he'll come back, just being funny. So.
Well, and you never know, because they're not really going to admit that like they didn't get their number one guy,
right?
Especially if they can make it sound like they got their number one guy, they definitely are.
I don't think Florida State did a good job by that. I feel like everybody was upset, and I think I was actually pissed with Norvell hire. Like, really, that's the best we could do.
I do remember that kind of had several choices. You made it very public, like who you're going after, and then it didn't.
Right.
It didn't happen, and so then you're like kind of going down the list. You're like, damn.
Right.
Can we get a coach? But I mean, honestly, I think Norvell has done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
At least he's getting talent in there, so you'll kind of see. Now we'll really see.
I mean, through a season, a team like we've dealt with, the past few years. I mean, we've had many games where it was everybody quit. Like nobody was talking to each other. Everybody was just sitting, Willie Taggart had a blank stare in his eyes, just just like talk, do something. Like
I remember because they interview players and stuff like that, especially about big rivalries. And that was one thing a lot of Florida players had said. It's like, Florida State, you get up on them a little bit and then they just give up.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was only like a handful of years, a couple of years there where that was the case. But I do remember that.
Yeah, I kind of just like my grievance of losing this game, what kind of went like, well, maybe like they can get this win because they would have whooped our ass so bad last year,
Like
and we didn't play them, what I mean?
Yeah. I know, that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, because one of the big things is like, if you get a streak over your rival, and then how long that streak is. And so I think with Florida State, Urban Meyer had six wins, and then you guys got to 5, and that was like my one thing. It's like, please don't let them match that one. But so it's been kind of pretty streaky for us. I remember we couldn't beat Chris Ricks until his final year, which I don't even know if he started the game that we beat him in finally. But
for some reason, I don't think he ever lost as a starter to y'all.
Yeah, I want to say you're right. I don't remember who it was. It was Drew Rutherford.
Did he sleep through like a final exam or something? Couldn't play, or
was that when
that was a bowl game? Sorry.
But I feel like I do remember that he didn't start that game that we finally beat him in. But he did end up playing most of it. But yeah, we didn't get the official, like, we beat him as a starter.
couple other big coaching moves. Lincoln Riley to USC. I don't know if this is true. It's on Sportsbook Nation. 110 million. We don't know how long. I'm assuming it's going to be 10 years.
Yeah.
USC is
which is nuts.
Yeah. USC is buying both of his homes in Norman for $500,000 over asking for $1 million bonus total. Buying him a $6 million house in LA, and he has unlimited use of the private plane 24/7. Sportsbook Nation's a credible website. It's not like satire. So crazy contract for him. And he kind of fooled Oklahoma. I think he said, I'm not leaving Oklahoma for LSU. But then he never said, I'm not leaving Oklahoma for USC. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
I was very surprised at that because he was like the offensive coordinator for Oklahoma. They got promoted when Stoops stepped down, I believe, if I'm remembering right. So that he would leave to go out west to USC. I was a little surprised by that one, but
yeah, especially when you know that you're going to the SEC like soon,
right? Exactly. Too. Yeah.
Like,
so
did that scare you? Like,
yeah,
is it going to get a lot harder now? Like,
I guarantee you, if he starts winning out there at USC, that's going to be a lot of knock against a lot of SEC fans. Will shout out there against them, but. Who cares? I mean, we're getting that type of deal. Like, if you're making $100 million or if it's 10 years or whatever it is, I don't care what kind of trash you talk about me, man. But so for me, that was kind of the point I was trying to get to, and kind of went on a tangent but if we were going to fire Dan Mullen and then go try to get one of these big name coaches, a guy like Lane Kiffin or any other big name, I don't
John
think
Gruden.
We really were looking. I think right now that he's not really a top priority, but I was just worried that we're going to end up overpaying, and then heaven forbid he doesn't work out, and then so we've got this big contract that we got to continue to pay again. So seeing a guy like Billy Napier, I don't know what he's going to get, but I doubt it's something like.
So Dan Mullen got $12 million this year. Is that because he got fired? You're just giving him like a lump sum, or is that was his freaking contract?
So I'm sure it was in his contract that he had certain guaranteed money or whatever, because that's what they do. They have a few good years.
I was like, he's making more money than Jimbo per year.
Yeah.
Well, I think Saban was the highest at 9.7, but
I saw 12 million.
So no, he definitely wasn't making 12 million a year.
Right.
Like, so if he would have continued to be a Florida coach, I don't know. I honestly, like, those numbers are so crazy. What these coaches get, like, I just don't even really pay attention.
I think they actually mentioned it in our game. It might have been another game I watched, but basically saying the biggest crime of college football are these coaches, because it's like they get fired, but they continue to get paid and don't even have to work. And you're talking about a substantial amount of money.
Well, and then, a guy like Muschamp goes and gets an analyst job and is probably making more money as an analyst, defensive analyst for Georgia than most people on a regular, 9 to 5. So, yeah, it's insane what they're getting. But when you have an industry like college football where they're making so much money and they don't even have to pay the players, I mean, they still not really having to pay the players. These players can now get endorsement
pretty sure
deals,
SEC has been paying players illegally for
but
generations.
They're not paying players, right? It's the boosters. So you're talking about these schools that are getting all this money in. The boosters come and give these $100 handshakes or $500 handshakes, whatever they are now.
Yeah, I mean,
and all
the
you got to do is pay the coaching staff.
Got fired because those $1 million donors had enough.
Right? Yeah. If you're. I think it might have been JP on the when he's talked about on the podcast of they're paying all this money as the donors, and they're not getting the results. So that's
did I just plagiarize JP? Damn it, man! I quit. I'm done. Just kidding, JP.
You're done.
And then the other big coaching move, I think it's a done deal. Brian Kelly to LSU.
Yeah.
So that's the Notre Dame coach.
Yeah.
Notre Dame coach going to LSU. To me, because it's LSU, nothing to do with the is it a premier job? Like, just because it's LSU, he just seems like a weird fit.
Yeah, he's a weird
in
fit
Louisiana.
no matter where. I mean, he did kill a kid in Notre Dame.
I feel like Notre Dame though is like he looks the part for Notre Dame. I don't know. I just kind of feel like Ed Ogeron looked the part for LSU.
Yes, he spoke the part too.
Where did he come from? Cincinnati?
Cincinnati, yeah.
Okay.
He actually left Cincinnati when so Florida played, if y'all remember, Florida in 2009 played Cincinnati, and he left Notre Dame for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Before that game. So
would they hire Georgia Leary first, and they found out he lied about his schooling?
Oh, you're right.
And then
he didn't get, like, first off, something that had nothing to do with the position that he was going, to be a head coach of a football team.
Yeah.
The fact that he just lied about his lied on his resume.
Somebody looked into it, and he didn't go to college and get a degree or something. Didn't go to the college that he,
to some degree. But yeah, you're right. That's a good pull, because I forgot about that. But yeah, that's pretty funny.
And then another thing I know we wanted to talk about. So probably the best game of all weekend was that Alabama game. What was it? 4 overtimes or?
I believe it might have been 4 overtimes, because they might have both got that first 2-point conversion. Yeah, that was so I don't know how much y'all really watched. I actually came in on the end of the game. Alabama was still down when I started watching it, though, because they came back so late. And I honestly, I was watching it thinking like, okay, Alabama's probably going to come back here. And they got the ball, and right when Alabama would normally do what Alabama does when they're down like that in a game, they didn't. Auburn got the stop. And so you're like, okay, wow, Auburn's really going to do it. Alabama's playoff chances are done, although I think Georgia's probably going to beat them pretty good, and they won't be going. But then unexplainably, Auburn, because Alabama only had 2 timeouts. And so you're like, 2 minutes, only 2 timeouts. They're going to be able to run this down. Alabama's not really going to have a chance.
Yeah.
And he goes out of bounds
Yep.
on one of the plays. And so that was all they needed. And so Alabama was able to get another shot at it, and they go down and they score the touchdown.
Just crazy. The IQ level of, like, you see it in the NFL too. It's just like, go out of bounds to stop the clock, and then they try to juke back in, and everybody's
to get like
looking there like,
yards.
What? What? Are you serious? Did you you don't understand the protocol here? Like, we didn't sit down and actually talk about it. Yeah.
And then he got drug out of bounds. So and it was crazy, and then so heartbreaking for the Auburn fans, where it's like, I mean, could you imagine in this year too? You're having a bad year, and then here's your chance to just kind of like highlight the season, where it's just like beat Alabama right before they go to the SEC championship game, and take them out of the playoff contention, and to have them all the way down. Like, you even get that stop. You get that stop when you think you need it, and then the guy goes out of bounds when he needs to stay in bounds. And you're just looking there like, they're going to come back now and we're going to lose. And sure enough, that's what happened. And so exciting game at the end. I don't know about the whole game, but the exciting at the end. If you're either an Alabama fan or just a fan of college football. But a tough one for Auburn fans, I'm sure.
Yeah. So with Alabama, they played Georgia for the SEC championship. That Georgia's favored by 6.5. That game, you never discount Nick Saban and Alabama, even though I think this is one of the worst years we've seen them have, just as far as how many close games they had to squeak out. It wouldn't surprise me if Alabama won that, and it wouldn't surprise me if Georgia put up like 60. It was like 60-20. So I'll definitely be tuning in for that game.
Yeah, I still think it's going to be a good game. Alabama is, again, I mean, they've shown that they're just a team where you think that they're down and out, but you got to play hard. You got to stay up all 4 quarters. You can't slack off, because they're gonna be there to meet you at the end if you're not ready. So, And you say it's one of the worst years that we've seen for Alabama. They still only lost one game.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
you got to think. That's what I was trying to bring up. Like the scenario they get in. Obviously they win, they're in.
Right.
They lose a heartbreaker, or they lose the way that they won against Auburn. Do they hang in there at the 4 and kick Cincinnati out, or or Cincinnati loses, or Michigan loses to Iowa? Bama slides in with 2 losses.
Yeah, I definitely believe there's ways that Alabama gets in there with 2 losses.
But it has to be a close game. Can't be
they can't. Yeah, they can't get embarrassed by Georgia or get handled by Georgia. And get, in my opinion, I mean, I know about this committee, but I don't really see that happening. But I don't know. I mean, for me, Bryce Young, he's a solid quarterback, and they've got some talent, but I don't see them as the offense. This isn't the year where they're the offense that is the one that finally puts up a bunch of points on Georgia. Georgia's defense is just too stout. And Alabama,
what are they missing? A running back? I feel like this is the first year I don't know what their running back's name is. Like, because you had Henry, you had Najee Harris, you had Mark Ingram, all these running backs. I couldn't even tell you who the heck their running back is.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, again, I agree. I can't tell you, and we played him, but I don't remember his name. But yeah, you're right. I mean,
it's a 1,000-yard
premier player for them.
His name is Brian Robinson Jr. And
was he the one? I think he might have gone out early against us, actually. Now that I think about it.
He didn't even play against Florida. Oh, there he did. 78 yards. Yeah, I mean, he hit 70, 78, 171 against Mississippi, 147 against DMU.
I think he did go out against Florida, and so he probably was a part of the 3 touchdowns they scored early, and then went out early.
Dang, Bryce Young has only had 4 interceptions with 40 touchdowns.
Wow, I didn't realize he had 40 touchdowns. It's pretty good.
2,000-yard receivers. Yeah, I mean, Bama can win this game. I mean, you can't ever. Right when you think they're down.
Those numbers, I mean, forget Scott, what I was just saying. Like, are you kidding me?
Number 3 team in the country.
2,000-yard receivers.
One of the worst Bama teams I've ever seen.
It just goes to show you how
40 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, 2,000-yard receivers. Like,
you're right.
Wow.
And Georgia's been known to choke,
especially against Alabama.
In the SEC game,
yeah.
Kirby Smart loves choking to Alabama.
So what if
you can't put down Kirby Smart.
What if Alabama?
He's the head coach.
I just mean the East has not beaten Alabama, so it's not like it's just Kirby Smart that can't win the game against Alabama.
Final score 40-3 Alabama. Does Georgia make it in the playoffs?
Yes.
1 loss.
Yes.
It'd be hard to ignore everything they've done all season.
Yeah.
I feel like you're talking about a scenario that just doesn't happen. Like it's just not after this season. That's just not even.
Yeah, we've been pretty consistent that Georgia's had kind of a level up on every team in the college football.
So they're not going to out talent Alabama, but they could be. Just this defense is just, I don't know, they just must be so sound in like their assignments and what they're doing.
They would have been really good with Jermaine Johnson as their 3rd string defensive end. Like he would have came in right when those players retire and just whooped up on them.
Yeah,
we got lucky with that one.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, honestly, like that is crazy that that guy's over there killing it at Florida State, and
it shows you
at all at Georgia.
Can't even get off the field. Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be Florida State. It just, I mean, to me, it just shows you that you go somewhere that's, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I mean, he could have went to Miami, did the same thing. He could have went to Florida, did the same thing. He could have went to UCLA, whatever. But just, I mean, it's just what we're talking about now, how stacked Georgia is. I mean, he would not have gotten the playing time.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Who are you going to pull off the field to put him on there? So.
Right.
Yep.
So if any Georgia players are listening, come to Florida State. We got left in and right in open for free game, unless Marvin Jones Jr. wants to come.
Florida's losing. Florida's really hurting on linebackers. If Georgia wants to give up any linebackers, and we're losing two.
And any
defensive
offensive
ends, most likely.
lineman with the last name Sparks. Come on, we're pulling for you over here at Florida State, man. Like, come
Class
on,
of 2026.
let's do it. We're looking in the future, Tyler. We're going for it.
Yep. Yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on him, but he ain't going to Florida State.
You say that, but you never know. I think we're like right at about an hour, if not maybe a few minutes short. Anyone else got anything else? Anything fun they saw or anything like that?
Big game for Michigan. That was a shock. They handled Ohio State so well.
Jim Harbaugh's first kind of like leap. Everybody's been just kind of
he
like
couldn't get over the hump of Ohio State.
Yeah. So now he's gonna get a chance to embarrass himself in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Iowa could end up beating him and everybody would still be on his ass.
Yeah,
well, he's Dan Mullen, Jim Ackman. He's just he's a weird guy.
Spends the night at 18 and under.
Right. Yeah.
Field's house.
So when you do that weird stuff and you win, then it's whatever. When he was out there at Stanford, people loved him. But
like when Dan Mullen's wife was kissing all the players.
Right. Yeah. Well, he was awkward enough, and then for that, I don't know. I'm not a guy who kisses people I don't know on the mouth, but that's teach their own.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I thought Jimbo's wife was bad, but damn.
Yeah,
this one.
And there's several pictures of her doing it. It's not just like one. It's like, dang, lady.
Yeah, it's like that's just the way that she greets him or tells him bye, or I don't know what she's doing.
I mean, I'm just in my head. I love you, baby.
Yeah,
you're like one of my children. Help my husband get more millions of dollars, please.
Yeah,
I love you.
Yeah.
Enjoy your dorm.
Yeah, so I don't have anything if you guys don't.
So where are we going into the future of this? I mean, we got signing day, December 15th. That's 2 weeks away. I'm out. I'm not buying War Chant anymore. I'm not buying stuff anymore for them to tell me stories of how these people were locks and then they didn't come in and then tell me some lie.
We'll definitely try to do something. We've kind of talked about it. Let's talk about it after we get done recording. But we'll definitely try to keep doing videos. If at the very least it'll just be us bullshitting and we'll turn it into a comedy show or something.
Well, that's still our plan. So we still have something. We'll still be able to come on and talk about them.
What quarterback's coming out? Maybe we can get another one of those.
Right.
That's CJ Beathard.
And we always can talk about each other's bowl games.
Sorry. There it is.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna cut it here after that a-hole comment from Tom.
I can't wait till y'all embarrass yourself and AR's like, I'm effing out of here.
Florida State, baby.
I honestly I was like, God, I wish I had a bowling ball so I could just pick it up and just be like, hey, you guys doing any bowling this holiday season?
Guys,
beat you in bowling.
We appreciate y'all watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, all those other things. And we appreciate you guys. And we'll see you next week. We will be putting something out, bowl game or playoff related, or like we mentioned, Jags are still playing. We'll put out something
explicit.
Something explicit.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you.
All right, guys. Love you. Bye.